looking to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judith Timera delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. Malacanang said Thursday that the arrest of Rappler Chief Executive Officer Maria Ressa has nothing to do with press freedom in the country. Indonesia will host Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for a state visit next week. Jakarta said Thursday part of an Asian tour that includes stops in Pakistan, India, and Malaysia. ASEAN senior labor officials gathered for the 12th meeting of the ASEAN Committee on the implementation of ASEAN Declaration on the Protection and Promotion of the Rights of Migrant Workers in Chiang Rai, Thailand. Malacanang said Thursday that the arrest of Rappler Chief Executive Officer CEO Maria Ressa has nothing to do with press freedom in the country. Ms. Ressa, being a media practitioner and a high-ranking officer of a media outfit critical of the president's programs and policies, has nothing to do with the present circumstances she is currently in. Freedom of expression, as critics of this administration erroneously suggest, is absolutely unrelated with Ms. Ressa's probable violation of the country's laws, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said in a statement. Panelo, also chief presidential legal counsel, said the arrest warrant against Ressa was issued by the court after finding probable cause.
It's been there, I've been hearing that.
Ms. Ressa should in fact welcome this as an opportunity to defend herself and be heard before the court of law, he said. Panelo said the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte will respect the independence of the judiciary and will not interfere in pending cases. He said, quote, "We are a country of laws and every citizen must adhere to the rule of law. No one is above the law, not even high-profile self-anointed crusading journalists. Whatever the outcome is, it must be respected by everyone, for such is the law. This is how the rule of law works." The Manila Regional Trial Court Branch 46 on Wednesday issued a warrant of arrest against Ressa and Rappler writer Reynaldo Santos Jr. after being charged under the provision on content-related offenses, which include libel committed through a computer system or similar means. The Department of Justice slammed irresponsible claims the arrest of Rappler's Maria Ressa constituted an attack on press freedom. According to Undersecretary Mark Perete, who is also the DOJ spokesperson, Ressa was in the first place arrested and faces prosecution for libel. Certainly, the freedoms of the press, of speech, and of expression do not give any person, whether a journalist, a blogger, or any person of whatever occupation, the license to engage in libel, Perete said. According to Perete, in any case, Ressa has the opportunity to defend herself in the court and disprove the accusations against her. The laws and the courts guarantee this, in addition to other rights granted an accused, including the right to bail, which Ms. Ressa could have asserted much sooner to forestall her arrest, Perete said. In apparent response to Ressa Camp's accusations, the National Bureau of Investigation intentionally served the warrant for her arrest on Wednesday afternoon, close to 5 p.m., the end of office hours, so Ressa would not be able to post bail. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo earlier said there was no meaning to the act of the NBI agents, saying what was frowned upon was the service of an arrest warrant on Friday afternoon. This would mean, he said, that the person served the warrant should have to spend time in jail during the weekend until or she posts bail, if the offense is bailable on Monday upon the resumption of office hours. Meanwhile, the businessman who filed cyber libel charges against Rappler, its chief executive officer Maria Ressa, and former reporter Reynaldo Santos, slammed the three for continuing to hold themselves high above any accountability for the article that he said defamed him. Speaking for the first time on the issue, Wilfredo Keng, whom Rappler described in the assailed article as a controversial businessman, possibly linked to shady deals and with links to illegal drugs, murder, and human trafficking, noted in a statement that Ressa, Santos, and Rappler have not once denied having published clear defamation against him, but simply continue to hide behind a single claim that unfortunately for him, he allegedly can no longer complain. He said the three also attempt to mislead the public by releasing news that his complaint against them was purportedly dismissed by the National Bureau of Investigation. Kang said Rappler's inaccurate, reckless reports and statements continue to be quoted by other news outfits, thereby perpetuating the clearly incorrect version of the story. Such reckless, premature, and inaccurate reporting on the government processes reek of actual malice and cyberbullying and border on the intentional propagation of fake news. Kang said that in the first place, before he pursued the charges against them, he tried to formally and informally communicate with the Rappler in order to have the said article taken down, clear this name, and restore his reputation, at least to the extent possible given the fact that irreparable damage had already been done. Multiplied a millionfold because Rappler's website continues to be accessible by the whole world. He noted that Rappler, Ressa, and Santos never attempted to obtain his side on the crimes they wrongly imputed to him, or to fact-check their baseless attacks against his name in the article after all. He said he has never had a criminal record and for almost 4 decades since he started working has consistently secured official clearance from the NBI certifying that he has never been involved in any criminal activities. Kang said he was grateful that after the conduct of a lengthy and meticulous investigation, the Department of Justice has categorically resolved to criminally charge them with cyber libel in court. He said he hoped to not just seek redress for himself and his family, but to move all other victims of cyber libel and cyberbullying to stand up and seek just and legal action. In other news, Thailand's Constitutional Court on Thursday said it would hear a case to dissolve the party, which proposed a princess for prime minister, an ill-fated candidacy which threatens to sink the election strategy of the powerful Shinawatrai clan. The Thai Raksachart party nominated Princess Ubalwatna for premier last Friday, a bombshell move bringing Thai royalty to frontline politics for the first time since the 1932 establishment of a constitutional monarchy. Hours later, the princess's brother, or Thailand's powerful king Maha Vajiralongkorn, scuttled her political ambitions, hitting out at the attempt to bring her into politics as highly inappropriate and against royal traditions. In the days since, chaos has involved Thai Raksachart, which falls under the tutelage of Thaksin Shinawatrai, a divisive billionaire ex-premier who sits at the heart of Thailand's bitter political schism. On Wednesday, the Election Commission, or EC, handed a case for dissolution of Thai Raksachart to the Constitutional Court on the grounds the party had taken action considered hostile to the constitutional monarchy. The court unanimously agreed to accept the request by the Election Commission, it said in a statement. The next hearing is on February 27. The party officials fear the case is being hustled through ahead of the March 24 election, which is already stacked in favor of the ruling junta, whose leader Prayut Chan-o-cha wants to return as a civilian premier.
Such as post-production teams comprising a pool of talented
visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. That you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. Bangladesh police have stopped 43 Rohingya refugees from being smuggled to Malaysia by boat, with a dozen women claiming they were abducted by traffickers, officials said Thursday. Acting on tip-offs, police found the refugees at two separate places in the southeastern border district of Cox's Bazar, raising the number of Rohingya being rescued from the traffickers to more than 100 in less than a week. About 740,000 of the Muslim minority fled Myanmar or Bangladesh after a military clampdown in the Buddhist majority nation in August 2017. They have joined another 300,000 Rohingya who have already been living in overcrowded camps in Cox's Bazar following previous bouts of violence. Officials fear many may end up being exploited by an internationally organized human smuggling racket who have previously sent thousands of Rohingya to Malaysia by boats until Bangladesh launched a crackdown in 2015. Following the discovery of mass graves of refugees in Thailand. Rapid Action Battalion, an allied police unit, said they rescued 12 women, mostly in their 20s, from a residential room in Cox's Bazar City early Thursday morning and arrested 2 alleged traffickers for abducting them. The young women from the refugee camps were lured by the traffickers. They were promised they would be sent to Malaysia. They were then brought to Cox's Bazar and kept in a house. RAB spokesman Mashur Rahman told media. Rahman said they were treating it as a case of abduction after the women claimed they were confined in a room without consent. Meanwhile, Indonesia will host Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for a state visit next week. Jakarta said Thursday as part of an Asian tour that includes stops in Pakistan, India, and Malaysia. His 2-day visit to the world's biggest Muslim-majority country kicks off on Monday, the prince's second official visit to the archipelago, but Jakarta supplied few details about his itinerary. He will arrive in Indonesia on February 18 and meet the president on February 19. The presidential spokesman Johan Budi said. The Crown Prince is scheduled to visit Pakistan and Malaysia before arriving in Indonesia, and then he heads to India. Salman last visited Indonesia with his father King Salman in 2017 as part of an Asian tour seeking investment opportunities. At that time, Jakarta and Riyadh signed a range of agreements from trade and aviation to boosting cooperation in science, health, and fighting crime. They also inked an agreement involving state-owned energy firms Aramco and Indonesia's Pertamina to expand a multi-billion-dollar oil refinery in the Southeast Asian nation. Next week's trip comes as the Crown Prince continues to be tarnished by his alleged links to the brutal murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The CIA has concluded the Saudi operation was likely directed by the powerful Crown Prince, but the White House has sidestepped that finding amid strenuous denials by Riyadh. In other news, Junta Chief Prayut Chan-Ocha is looking to hold on to power and drive through the largest investment program in Thai history with China's help. Chinese tourists visit malls and visitor attractions in Bangkok. In 2019, the country is expected to welcome some 11 million Chinese tourists. The tourism sector remains the kingdom's banker, accounting for 1/5 of Thai economy. The junta heads to the polls in March, trumpeting its vision of an innovative and wealthy country stewarded by market-savvy generals. But critics say the military risks becoming over-reliant on cash and tourism from China in a shift to reboot a once healthy economy. Thailand's economy sagged in the first years after the power grab, but the junta is taking its hope for an economic turnaround on the Asian giant.
The Thai government, since the 2014 coup, has by definition been a military government, and therefore mill-to-mill relations have naturally increased between the two countries, again aided by the fact that the United States has had to take a step back. But with the sinking of the Phoenix, for example, off the coast of Phuket last year, you had a video of a Chinese national being sort of manhandled at the airport by a Thai security guard. These things immediately were dealt with by the authorities in Thailand, which is certainly evidence that the tourism from China and from anywhere else does play a substantial role in Thailand's GDP, and they can't afford to have any hiccups in that regard.
ASEAN senior labor officials gathered for the 12th meeting of the ASEAN Committee on the Implementation of ASEAN Declaration on the Protection and Promotion of the Rights of Migrant Workers on the 12th to the 14th of February 2019 in Chiang Rai, Thailand. To keep the momentum going since the adoption last year of the action plan to implement the ASEAN Consensus, the committee reviewed its work plan and noted results and progress of its completed and ongoing projects. These include the ASEAN Safe Migration Campaign, study on portability of social security for migrant workers, repository of legislations and policies on migrant workers, migrant worker rights-based employment contracts, reintegration program for returned migrant workers, capacity building of labor officials on trafficking in persons, and labor market information systems on mobility of workers. The committee discussed its medium-term priorities until 2020, highlighting the areas of governing mechanisms of labor mobility, social protection of migrant workers, protection and promotion of the rights of migrant workers, and labor dimension of trafficking in persons. Post-2020 priorities focusing on the implementation of the ASEAN Consensus on the protection and promotion of the rights of migrant workers were deliberated, including the conduct of self-assessment of implementation of ASEAN Consensus that will be conducted by ASEAN member states this year. Recognizing the importance of multi-stakeholder cooperation and cross-sectoral collaboration, the ACMW continues to cooperate with other ASEAN sectoral bodies, ASEAN dialogue partners, and international development agencies related to migrant workers, such as International Labour Organization and International Organization for Migration. The next ACMW meeting will be held in 2020 in Vietnam. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Yamera, and I'm 1 with 25.